All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about Anthony Richardson reclaiming the starting quarterback job from Joe Flacco after 2 games. The Colts, they thought, Flacco could recapture that magic from last year, I guess. And the Colts have lost their last 2 games, and he was not great. So they go back to Richardson. And, we'll see what happens. I mean, he did say that, I did watch a little bit of his interview. He did say that this time off definitely helped him. So maybe he comes out as a different player. And, look, I'm not ready to give up on Anthony Richardson. I think the talent is there. It is there. Because we've seen some of the throws that he makes, and we're very impressed by it. But then there's also the turnovers. That kind of equal everything out. So I still think he's going to be a good player. And maybe, sitting for these couple of games, got his mind right, got to just see how Flacco operates. Obviously, 2 very different quarterbacks from different eras. I mean, Flacco is a traditional pocket passer. I mean, he's a statue back there. But Anthony Richardson, a big part of his game is also running with the ball. So, and they're going up against a team on Sunday in the Jets that struggle against stopping the run. But let's see, what happens. I think that he could still be the answer for the Colts. Although, when you tap out and you talk about how you were tired in a game, that doesn't look good. But I think if he comes out and he plays well to end the year, then, we'll forget about him being tired and saying that. But he's going to be starting on Sunday, and, it was a combination of just him being inconsistent and just the lack of on-field leadership, which, like I talked about, which was, him tapping out of the game against the Texans. But he's back in. Shane Steichen praised Richardson's recent strides in professionalism and commitment, citing improvements in his focus and preparation. Shane Steichen acknowledged Richardson is not a finished product, but he's a heck of a talent, and that staff will work to develop him further. Josh Downs, one of their receivers, expressed trust in Richardson's readiness and his dedication, noting Richardson's hard work and positive attitude. So it seems like it has paid off. And sometimes, like, if you're a young player, you do need to be humbled a little bit. I know I've probably said that in the past, but sometimes you need that. And, there are players in this league that have experienced things that have humbled them. And, Richardson is probably, one of those players that you could put into that category. So, if he comes out and the Colts finish the season strong, maybe they fall a little bit short of the playoffs, but they finish the season strong and he plays really well, then you would look back on this and say, hey, this was the right decision to have him sit for a little bit and kind of get his mind right and see how, playing the quarterback position is done. Even though Flacco didn't play great, but, just kind of get your mind right. And we'll see. The first test is on Sunday against the Jets, which is a team, like I said, that struggles at stopping the run. And Richardson's a guy that, will take off and run with it if he has to. So, I do like that matchup for the Colts. I think this is a good spot to, get reacclimated because the Jets are, they're not playing well. They are in a downward spiral. And we'll get into them when I talk about Aaron Rodgers in the next segment. But like I said, I do think that's a good matchup for them. And in terms of, can the Colts still make the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, I think they can, but they got to start winning games now. They thought that switching it to Flacco, they would win games and, they would be in a good spot because they were 4-3 when they made the switch. But they lost their last 2. They lost to the Vikings, and then they just lost to the Bills too at home. And we'll see if they can make a run. but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and it really, I think, all falls on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson. Can he play good enough to lead them to a playoff berth? And the only way they're really going to get it, in my opinion, is, once again, the wild card. Because right now, they're 2.5 games back. They're 4-6, and actually, when they made the switch to Flacco, they were 4-4. And that was week 8. They lost to the Texans, and they lost to the Vikings and the Bills. The Vikings and Bills, Flacco, of course, started. But yeah, they're 4-6, 2.5 games back. The Broncos are 5-5. So I mean, they're not out of it. But like I said, they got to start winning games. And you got the Jets on the schedule, which I think they should win that game. But who knows? Then you got the Lions the following week. You got the Patriots. Then you go into the bye. Then you're at the Broncos, home against the Titans, at the Giants, and then home against the Jaguars. So there are winnable games on the schedule. But you also are going to need some help. And the head-to-head matchup with the Broncos, if they can win that, that would be huge. Because that's one of the teams that's ahead of you right now. That's occupying that last wildcard spot. So we'll see what happens. But, right now, they just got to take it game by game. And let's see how he plays against the Jets. That's really, like I said, that's really the first test since his benching. And let's see if it actually did pay off and he makes smarter decisions. Because, like I said, the talent is there. I mean, you see some of these deep balls to Alec Pierce and, his mobility, of course. But then, there was that bad red zone interception against the Bears that he had earlier this year. The turnovers have been a problem. The inconsistency. But if he could figure it out, I think he could be a really good quarterback. So like I said, I am not ready to give up on him. I'm not. Right now on the year, 4 touchdowns to 7 picks. It's not good. Not good at all. And he's 59 of 133. That is not good either. His completion percentage is not good. So things got to improve. And, last year he basically missed his rookie season. So this is kind of a make-up for that. So, we'll see what he could do in this final stretch of the season here. But I do think that, we'll maybe see some better results. Maybe. But also, I wanted to bring up another quarterback in the AFC South as well. So it doesn't look like Trevor Lawrence is playing again for the Jags in Week 11. It will be Mac Jones again, and they will be taking on the Detroit Lions, who are arguably the best team in football right now. So, the Jags season just continues to be a huge disappointment, and we'll be talking about them, towards the end of the show when I go over coaches that are likely not coming back. But, that was other news that broke. So, but the AFC South is pretty much wrapped up. The Texans got it wrapped up. And, I say that now, but if you remember from last year, I kept saying, the Jags got this division wrapped up. There's nothing to worry about. And then they collapsed, and the Texans ended up winning it. So, but I think this year, the way teams are going, the Jags and the Titans are pretty much out of it, or are out of it. The Colts, let's see what they do during this final stretch here. But, the Texans are 2-0 against them. So, it's their best bet is the wild card. The Texans are going to win this division. But they also have their issues too. And the Colts had a chance to beat them the second time. Well, actually both times, really. Jaguars had a chance to beat them. And they just came off of that huge collapse against the Lions, up 23-6. So they are beatable, but the teams in their division cannot take advantage of that. But we'll see what happens, and hopefully Anthony Richardson, like I said, plays well, and to end off the season here, and we continue to see him and C.J. Stroud go at it. Because they are exciting players if they can both be good at the same time. Stroud's, of course, dealing with his sophomore slump a little bit, which I don't think is entirely his fault, but he's kind of going through some things as well. But if we can have a matchup of C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson for the next 10 years, and both these quarterbacks turn out to be elite, that's going to be fun to watch. But let me know what you guys think, though, about Richardson stepping back into the starting job. How do you think he'll play? Do you think that the time off helped him? I mean, I think to some extent it did. But we will have to see when he takes the field on Sunday and how he plays against the Jets. So before we go to break, I just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat to create a super chat of any thought or comment you may want to see me acknowledge throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will talk about Aaron Rodgers and the likelihood of him playing in 2025. We'll get into that. I'll give you my thoughts, whether he should come back, whether he should call it a career. We'll get into that whole discussion when we come back, because I know that's really been a topic for a lot of media outlets. So, of course, I got to give my 2 cents on the matter. So that is what we will get into when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.